Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Just got back from our quarterly planning retreat.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
It went well. I think we made some good plans, and it was nice to like escape again and hang with the guys. And yeah, it was a good time.
That's cool. Where'd you guys go?
We actually revisited a house that we went to before in Wrentham, Massachusetts. Pretty close to a lake, not quite waterfront, but nearby. But it has like this like very cozy, kind of artsy cabin kind of vibe. I'd say coziness is its main characteristic. I'll talk about some of the stuff that we talked about during the episode, though.
Cool.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I messaged you right before we got on the mics, and I was like, I don't have a ton to update on because I've just been deep in this Outlook integration, but I can pull some things out of that. So just tell some quirky stories about things that I've learned.
Bet. Yeah. Yesterday, Joel was configuring our SSO support to work with Azure.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is going to shock you, but the Azure admin interface is kind of clunky.
It's right up there. Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure are all like, they feel very similar in the sense that they are just, I mean, a kitchen sink of things and lots. And it's like, they're all single page apps. There's tons of spinners everywhere and things are janky and you never know if stuff's going to load properly. And it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think Joel feels your pain this week.
Yeah. That's good to not be alone.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about a feature idea. We did a roadmap survey recently. And one of the things that was requested pretty popularly was joining a Tuple call via URL. And this is not like join a Tuple call via the browser, but like give me a URL that I can hit that like brings me into a call with a person. At least I hope I did not imply the first thing. I realized we didn't exactly. that might have been slightly ambiguous, but based on people's comments, I think it's clear. And the feedback we've gotten before is like, I'm used to scheduling collaboration sessions with somebody via their calendar. Sometimes people are just like, well, we wanted to try Tuple and get off Zoom, but we're really used to throwing Zoom links on calendar invites, and there's no equivalent, so we kind of just end up on Zoom, and it's like, hey, do you want to switch to Tuple? And it's like, we're already on Zoom. Maybe we just use this.
Yep.
So we want to, support that kind of workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, so like part of it is like a workflow where it's like, okay, now there's a URL on the calendar invite, but it's also kind of more of a general, it's more of a change where it's like, I can just kind of be like, I am ready and joinable, and somebody can come and join me. And it's not, we don't have to like coordinate this exact synchronous, I'm calling you, you hit accept with the 10 seconds that I'm calling you, and now we're on a call.
Right. More of the kind of the room concept. Like you open up a Tuple room and you're sitting in the room and you're waiting for someone to wander in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as someone who runs a calendaring app,
yeah,
I think there's a lot of interesting UX things to be done here, but I was wondering like how slick can we make this? And I was curious if you had any ideas for like really nice ways that we could, like if we were going to add Tuple as an option for SavvyCal meetings, how could we make this really good?
So the join URL is kind of the typical workflow that most conferencing providers use. So like, Google Meet has it, Zoom obviously, Whereby. And there's kind of two buckets that I've seen of these. Like most of them are like you hit an API during the scheduling process and it generates some kind of like unique link so that it's like very unique to that specific meeting. But then Whereby kind of breaks that mold where they're just driven by like your personal room URL, and you can set these up in advance, and then it's not like a random string identifying it. It's like whereby.com/Derrick or whatever. So Tuple could definitely get away with that kind of model as opposed to the unique thing, because it's not a service that anyone on the public internet who has the URL could wander into. Like you have to be connected already on Tuple, right? Presumably. So it could be something like, Tuple : / Derrick or something in order to like get in a room with me.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. The how unique is this URL is kind of an interesting idea. Or like is it when I add a Tuple URL to a meeting or to like a calendar event, should it be about the call, or is it more like the person, like the host?
Right. Yeah, because if it's just the host, then it's like, well, I guess, yeah, what would happen if multiple people clicked that? Would it route? What does the routing look like getting you into basically the same session?
Right. Like if there's going to be 3 people on the call and one of them is you and it's like / Derrick, and then Ben and Joel click it. Are we dropped into your room that's already active or something?
Yeah, that could be. Well, and here's the other thing you could do. I mean, so kind of sticking with like analogous to what Whereby does, you basically preemptively create these rooms. And I've peeked into some like bigger team accounts, and like you can go crazy with these. Like you can have individual teams within your company can set up various rooms, and they can like attach properties to them. Like you can pre-configure them so that there's a certain like waiting room policy and there's a certain like experience once you're in the meeting. And maybe that would be something you would want to do with Tuple, like pre-configure a room that's like, when in this room, we're sharing, these are the policies set up for this pairing session. And so it's like perhaps something you could preemptively create, like Ben's pairing room, and then you could link out to Ben's pairing room.
That's
from
interesting.
A calendar invite.
I hadn't thought about that. Like properties on the room itself could be interesting.
Even if it doesn't make a ton of sense, like there's not a ton of configurability right now, there may be down the line, especially as you allow more parties to be involved and more kind of complex like permissions scenarios and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have like a peer-to-peer thing, I've been thinking of these things as like making me available. Like this link is like to me. That seems like the wrong model. Like the thing that goes to me is calling me. And that requires me to be immediately available and accept it. This is a place to go to meet each other. And that's what gives you the async thing. So like it's not really / Ben, it's / Ben's meeting spot, or pairing room 1 or whatever.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so like one setting on this place could be that it causes a notification to get pushed out if someone joins it to me, for example.
Right. Which is sort of what happens like in a Zoom room. If you have a meeting room and someone joins it, you get an email or I don't know if you get a push notification, but it basically notifies you when someone wanders in.
Yep. I always hate those emails.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it saved me like once or twice where I've forgotten a thing or like I didn't see the thing. So I guess maybe they're a net good, but like 95% of the time, it's like the first person joined your meeting that that's a recurring meeting that is, has been on the calendar and you were there, but here's this email from when it started. And, yeah, it's goofy. So I would like to be smarter than that for sure. Yeah, maybe we give a little notification bubble kind of thing on the Tuple icon when someone joins. So like maybe there is an owner of a room. Maybe it's Ben's room. It's not an unattached room. And that way it's like, okay, if someone joins your room, you should probably know about it.
Right. I wonder if it would make sense for there to be like, would a company ever want to set up like pairing room 1, pairing room 2, kind of like conference rooms that are owned by the team and not individual people, I wonder? I mean, I guess I can't think of a specific use case for that, but...
I mean, maybe, but that's maybe. That's starting to feel like aspirational or like, like V2 kind of design or something.
Like maybe keep that in mind when designing the data model for how these are structured.
Yes.
But
yeah. Well, don't worry. I'll make everything has menus.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, then there's some interesting sort of UI things, which is like, how do you, let's say you and I are trying to do a thing. We're going to pair. I've set up a thing. We throw that URL on the calendar invite. Maybe I click it first and it goes to my thing. And then somehow we want to indicate in the UI, like you're in the room now. This is like a persistent state. The room is joinable, but you can go do other stuff. I think at the beginning, there's sort of an interesting question of like what should be shared, I guess. Like you probably don't establish a screen share. Maybe you enable audio when you join the room, by default. That seems like a safer thing. Like I don't want to have to like have my screen ready for someone to drop in at any second once I join a thing. But I think if it was like, if I could hear you and you could hear me, that feels pretty safe.
Yes. Yep. Default to audio, you could potentially throw on your webcam or something. So when someone joins, they see the webcam as well, you know?
Yep.
Similar to expectations of a conferencing, just a generic conferencing tool. You know?
Yeah. I think there is actually kind of a lot of prior or like sort of existing tropes or whatnot that we can lean on here. I think we need like a sound / a push notification or something when you actually join, just to make sure if I'm listening to music or, you know, getting distracted, or maybe you don't have your mic turned on when you first join, so I don't hear anything, but my mic is hot, so I should know that you're there.
Yep. And yeah, push notifications for, you know, if you're in there first, you get a push notification obviously when someone joins and their mic is, you know, you can hear their audio. And it seems like it would make sense to give, you know, potentially give everyone, like when you launch this feature, like everyone gets basically a the equivalent of the personal meeting room, you know, where it's like everyone gets their personal room, and then you can create more down the line that are like specific to, you know, maybe you only share this link with a specific person. So it's not like, which is sort of like what you can do with Zoom calls. You can have your personal one, or you can spin up a specific room for individual people to use.
Yeah. Is there any advantage to having like unique things per invite? Is there anything funky we could do there, you think?
I think if you architected this in a way where like a room is a room and you can be kind of like a static one that's persistent all the time, or you can like create these on the fly and they're more like, you know, sandboxed, like a unique URL to a room. I don't know for sure, in thinking about it, if that's really necessary up front, but like if you had that, then you could obviously expose an API, and something like a tool like SavvyCal could like spin up a unique room when a call is scheduled, you know. But some people don't want that behavior. Even with like Zoom integration today, some people just want to use their personal meeting room. They don't want a bunch of unique rooms.
So one use case for this is throw it on a meeting invite to have a time sort of, this is happening this time. But then there's like, oh, hey, Derrick and I are going to be pairing on this thing. If you want to drop in, or like, hey, Dan, like we could use your thoughts on the UX when you have a second. Here's the link. I wonder if it's useful to have a unique link at that point where it's not just my thing, but it's like, oh, I want to call with Derrick, like share URL to this call. And thus, like when that call ends, that thing just evaporates.
Yeah. I mean, in essence, like maybe every call would basically become this is a one-off room, an ad hoc room, right? That you and I are on a Tuple call right now, and if we wanted to invite someone to it, it would be nice to be able to share a URL to it. So like under the covers, every call is maybe perhaps a room, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, is that better than if I just gave out my /Ben room for some reason? I guess because if the person tried to join it after the call had ended, maybe we go, oh yeah, sorry, that session's gone. As opposed to me getting a notification like, oh, hey, Dan joined your room. Maybe that's better. That might not actually be. I might want to know that like, oh, Dan tried to join us and we were done. Let me just go hop in there with him real quick and explain what happened or something.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because Dan joining your room when you're not in there would be effectively Dan calling you, right?
Yeah. Right.
But now he's calling you from a place. He's calling you in like a public place where like if someone else had that.
He's calling me out.
Right. He's calling you out. So if he called you on your /Ben and then someone else happened to like enter your /Ben, they could just like wander into your conversation with Dan.
Yeah. Right. You and I are done. Dan hops in afterwards looking for me. I'm trying to start a new call with somebody else. Maybe if that had been time bound or related to the specific call, that's better. Then we don't like have accidental collisions.
Yeah. Like I could see, so for example, we're recording this podcast. We're using Tuple to talk to each other. Every week, it's like we have a scheduled time when we're going to start. And then usually one of us is like making coffee or like doing some little errand right before, right? And so then it's kind of like, well, I'll call you when you're ready, or you call me when you're ready. But if we just had an AOP room, It's just like, well, I'll just meet you there. When we're both there, then we can start,
Yeah. Also, the AOP room, I could say like when I join AOP room, turn on my webcam, turn on my audio, don't do screen share, set the quality setting to this or whatever like this. Yeah, that's I could see why settings and like event-based settings could be nice there. Because I always use the same setup with you. And so if it just enabled all the things that I wanted, that would be handy. We could remember choices based on the last thing you did, which would be cool.
Yeah.
We always coordinate via text. Like, I need 2 minutes, or like, I'll be there in a second. Like, okay, call me or something. Or call me when you're ready. And it's like, it requires this extremely synchronous handshake.
Is a room actually just like a way to spin up to initiate a call that is like in a state of, it's in a pending state sort of? Like, so if you hit a room URL, it's basically like under the covers, it establishes a call that only includes one participant, but someone else can also hit the same thing and get to the same session, basically.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's interesting to think about. So like, say you and I were in a call and we were in Ben's room. If someone else on your team, opened up their Tuple UI and clicked on Ben's room, would they be able to just join the same active call? Or is that essentially like, that is a session that is now started and someone who doesn't have the join URL shouldn't be able to come in? I think that's a question. Like, is this something that's exposed in the interface where someone can always come in through there, or do you have to have the link to get in?
Yeah, that's kind of a cool question. Like, should there be a Ben's room participants, Derrick, Ben, like join? Like, is that a thing or not? That's interesting. Like, we generally default towards like very permissive things where it's like, okay, you're using this with your coworkers, people that you implicitly trust. So we don't have that many limits on things.
Right. You already have to establish, team membership and or friendship with people in order to be see each other's activity and online state and stuff. So
and you probably have to establish the friendship before you could join via someone's URL, probably, or maybe we do that on the fly. Unclear.
That does open up the possibility for more connecting, because like, if I wanted to pair with Adam Wabin or something, like we all have so many email addresses these days, I don't really know where to find Adam. Is it his Gmail? Is it his Tailwind Labs email address? But if he had just shared like a join URL with me, and then when I click that, it's like, hey, you're connecting with Adam and we're going to become friends now, or whatever needs to happen, then it seems like that could spur on a lot more like connecting with people who are not necessarily on your team. And that's probably a good thing for the stickiness factor for Tuple, right? If now you're kind of building this network and this friends list.
Yeah, I like that. It's also, we can do the Derrick Reimer patented reserve your URL scheme.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I like that connection idea where it's like this is the one-stop shop to get access to me versus having to figure out which email is right. I like that. That's cool.
Yep.
Okay. Well, cool. I think that's kind of a good exploration of that.
Good. Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks for your thoughts. I honestly kind of forgot we were recording for a few minutes there.
I know. That's when it gets really good, right?
Yeah, I was just in brainstorming mode.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. So how is your excursion into Microsoft land going? Are you close?
Oh gosh, I'm very close. I would say I'm rounding the corner. Like I'm adding new tasks slower than I'm chipping them off, which is a good point to reach in a project. So this week I reached out to a couple friends who I know use Outlook at work and asked them to connect their accounts. And of course, you immediately learn things when you connect real world accounts. So I've seen all kinds of different event types and like, oh, here, what happens when someone books an all day event, but their time zone is set to something funky? And what happens when, and my gosh, like calendar data models are so weird. You can tell this stuff was like legacy that has changed, has been like shifting over time, but that was like invented in the early 90s or something, like, because it's like there's clearly things that are like bolted on, like we didn't consider this, and so we're adding it in, but we can't break existing like systems, because I mean calendars for the longest time were like apps that you installed on your local computer. So like, Outlook desktop. And I just discovered like how Outlook handles time zones. Like they like to default to use like time zones that are not standard in the standard time zone database, like the string US Central Time, which is not a time zone you can pass to any library these days. That's like a standard database. Like you can't just send that. So there's things you can do to like massage the Outlook API to always return things in UTC time, for example. But it's just crazy. There's all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah. Every like product has like its schlep.
Yeah.
It's like obnoxious work that you have to do.
Yes.
And this is your schlep is time zones and date math.
Yes. And I've been taking actually a little bit of pleasure in that, because I know that like the more of this stuff that I like figure out, and it's kind of like solving an intricate little puzzle. Yesterday I was going through, and this is a really tricky thing to figure out, and I'm still in the middle of it, but like figuring out what happens now when like you initiate a calendar invite from an Outlook calendar and you send it to someone who's using Gmail. Like an email gets sent, an invite comes through, but what does the feedback loop look like when someone like clicks one of the RSVP buttons from their email client? Like, does that actually mutate the state properly on the originating calendar's invite? And there's a ton of like weird stuff that happens in different scenarios. So I was like running through a bunch of different scenarios and then like downloading the iCal invite that gets attached to the emails that initiate from either Google Calendar or Outlook. And they behave very differently, these two systems. And so it's a wonder that they can even talk to each other even half the time, Some like include the organizer as the attendee by default. Outlook doesn't include the organizer as an attendee on the event, so it shows up as a single person attending the event when it comes through. There's just all kinds of weird stuff like that. And I learned that if you create an event on a non-default calendar in Outlook, because you know how you can, in Google Calendar, you can create multiple calendars, right? If you do that in Outlook, though, it's impossible for anyone to RSVP that you've invited. A little notice just pops up in the UI when you add an attendee, and it's like, by the way, people won't be able to RSVP to this, but you can still receive emails from them indicating that they're coming, but it's not going to show up that way on this invite. Like it's just something they're like, yeah, we haven't figured this out, so sorry, It doesn't work.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you said you were feeling good, and I assume it's because it's like you're digging the moat, basically.
Yeah. So like as I deconstruct these things, it's like, okay, this is how these things work, and this is what I need to do to make sure that they can talk to each other. And like none of this stuff was obvious. You couldn't just read docs and figure it out. Like a lot of this stuff isn't documented, so you just kind of have to deduce it yourself. But it feels good when you like unpack some of these things and then figure out how to make them all work. So getting there.
Nice. That's cool. Do you have a date in mind yet, you think?
So I've been trying to figure out like what the best rollout process for this will look like, because I feel like realistically within let's say a week from now, I will feel pretty dang confident that people can actually start using this in production. And so I've thought about like, do I go through the trouble of like recruiting a beta group from like my broader customer base to like invite people to use it and set time limits around that? Or do I just kind of let customers know like, hey, we now have the ability to connect Outlook calendars and we're just rolling this out, so there may be issues, and like maybe put like a beta flag on it just to make sure people know like if you run into something weird, please let me know. I lean more towards like, I don't want to be in this long protracted like beta period with this thing. Like if it's seeming to like function pretty well, then I want to err on the side of like just letting people start using it and sign up with Outlook calendars and not drag this out.
I would want to like email your marketing list or like people who haven't signed up yet and say like, I'm looking for a handful of people to get the first set of access to this. Use that to like convert some customers, iron out the bugs, and then email them again and be like, okay, now it's open to everybody. Feel free to jump on here. Bugs have been squashed, and turn it into kind of almost like a sales approach / marketing launch, that kind of thing.
What I'm a little worried about is I've told some people recently who have asked for the integration, like, hey, it's actually getting really close and we may need some folks to test it out. Would you be willing to test it out? And I've gotten a couple of responses that are like, yeah, if I can get a sweet discount. And I like, so I'm a little bit leery of that coming off as like, oh, so you want me to do you a favor? Well, just give me a discount and I'll test out your thing for you, which I hate that phase,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they'll just don't do that.
Yeah. So maybe the answer will be like, do you want to test this out? And like only people who really want to like use this product and pay for it are, that's the requirements of the
totally.
Of the thing.
I would say that like this is not like a free beta test. This is like we're looking for several people that want to become customers and help us make this feature great.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think realistically within a week or so, and it's not far off from I said Q1 was my goal for this, and here we are. It's April 1st, so I'm feeling pretty good about like
you're late,
almost, but only by a little bit.
Okay, only by a little bit.
Yeah,
only 11 hours so far.
Right. Yeah, I just have a clock up on the wall ticking down how late I am on shipping this. Keep me motivated.
That sounds like a good feature for startups.
Yeah. There's continuing to be some good like side effects from building this too. Like when I connected some production accounts that had like literally hundreds of events on their calendar over the span of the next 4 weeks, like realize that the Google Calendar API is just really, really fast. And so I've been able to like get away with querying things in a slightly less efficient manner than they really should be. So I hooked up this Outlook account. It's like the spinner spun for like 6 seconds and then displayed stuff. And I was like, okay, that's not going to work. And so then I took a hard look and I was like, we try to basically load all your calendar events over the next month so that we can automatically move the scheduling link to show the earliest available time that you have. And if that's multiple weeks out, then we kind of have to look multiple weeks out. Just taking like an hour and figuring out like, what if I sliced the pages into smaller chunks and we started with just querying 1 week and then keep like automatically page out to X number of weeks. And if we find availability on the first week, then we show it right away and we just do the fetching in the background, like out of band so that it doesn't slow down the UI and like, so it's made the product like that much faster for everybody, even people on Google, because now the pages are smaller and everything's faster.
That's the best.
Yeah. So I've been loving that too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Solid. Nothing like a little outside pressure to kind of improve the system.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yep.
So I said I would talk about a couple things from Retreat. Just a couple of quick topics. One is that we are decided to start enroll in a bug bounty program, which I'm pretty stoked about, like security bug bounty. We're using this company called Federacy, which is a Y Combinator company. Just 2 founders and then like their sort of pool of security researchers. Pretty excited to try it out. Like we're gonna get like sit in a shared Slack channel with them, and we're doing their managed program. So the idea is like we write up some documentation on how security researchers can sign up for Tuple, and then here's our list of what we'll pay for what kind of bugs. And the Federacy folks will do kind of a first pass triage kind of validation phase on the reports. And then the legit stuff, then we get to look at and pay out and remediate.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the main like impetus for doing this? Or like,
I don't want to write an email that's like, "Dear all customers."
Right. Yep.
And so we're going to try to not do that.
Yeah.
That was the impetus. Like we're a desktop app installed on a bunch of computers with accessibility privileges, so we got to take this stuff seriously. So we got a security audit last year. From talking to people, folks have basically said they get better results from bug bounty programs than security audits. And that sort of makes sense because the bug bounty is ongoing and the security audits are, snapshots. And also, if you think about the incentives are not super aligned actually on a security audit, because that company, like whoever you hire, wants to give you enough research that you feel good about it for like as fast as possible in order to like, justify their fee. Whereas when you set a bounty for various severity of bugs, you're directly incentivizing what you want, which is like, find me the worst stuff. So I really like that. Just like incentive alignment feels really important to me in general. And that just like gets it. This feels like a very clean implementation. It feels like a pretty clear upgrade to me of incentive alignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I occasionally get those. I mean, every software provider eventually gets these like random emails from time to time from people who are like, hey, I discovered a bug with the way you do session handling on your website. Do you have a bounty program? And I never have like a great answer to that type of email. So it does feel like a good thing at some point reach a certain level of maturity to have like kind of an official means like where it doesn't feel like some weird under the table, like I'll send you some Bitcoin or something kind of transaction, but instead like, no, we actually have a program for this.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like putting the flag out, which is like, please find these things. Like, here's the prize if you do.
So is this going to be really expensive, do you feel like?
So first of all, props to Federacy for putting their prices on their website. Like, it's interesting. There's like HackerOne, and then there's two sort of big enterprisey, get most of the customers kind of versions of this out there. And they have like, call us for pricing kind of thing. And Federacy is the like, no, we're going to like bring bug bounty programs to like startups basically. And like, here's our, like they charge by month as opposed to by year. And like they put the price on, like no commitment. They put the price on the website. So the managed program is $900 a month. And they said to roughly budget for like $500 a month in bounties, depending on how things go. Obviously, you can't really predict that, but that's kind of like an average spend for them. And my thought, honestly, is to like I want to offer a lot of money for the real severe stuff. Like if you can remote code execute against Tuple, that's worth a lot to me. They sort of recommended start with a reasonable baseline of bug bounties, and then after you've gotten kind of the basics done and you're feeling more confident and you want even more intense testing, like crank up the bounties on some of them. It's like I could see us like slowly walking up the amounts on the higher end with time.
Yeah. Interesting. Part of their package is that they are the communication means through which people report bugs, and do they like assess whether it's legit and then like communicate with you guys?
Yep, they do that. They also handle payouts, so I don't have to go wire somebody Bitcoin or whatever the hell you do with Bitcoin.
Yep. Make a blockchain entry.
So they have like an interface for like, click here, pay this person. They have like a tracking tool, like a CMS for your security researchers and their bugs, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. It's probably something that a lot of, especially when you're installing software on people's computers. I mean, it seems pretty, high stakes. But even web apps, no one is immune from security.
No one is immune. Exactly. Yeah. So like, let's at least be doing our homework and doing our best to try to prevent, presumably someday we have a security issue. Like that would be wild to never happen. So let's do our best to not though.
Right. No, it does. I mean, I have had moments where I've just reflected on the fact that I have thousands of API tokens, in possession. There's some liability there for sure. And not something to take lightly.
Been thinking about SOC 2 a little bit, honestly. So this is like the security audit / certification where they say you have to follow these policies and prove you're following the policies, and we audit you every so often to confirm that you're still compliant. So in the early days, we got asked for this during big enterprise deals, and we get that sometimes still as well. And I would always be like, no way, this is just not the time for this. But we're doing more and more big deals, and from talking to people who've gone through it, it is painful. But honestly, they said most of the practices are actually things you should be doing anyway. So it's you're kind of just tightening up the ship a little bit, and that is starting to feel more prudent and also would help us in certain enterprise
credibility
sales processes.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be worth it now.
There are some companies I think that help facilitate this for smaller enterprises. I've had some cold outreach from one company in particular. I can't remember their name, but they're like, "Hey, have you thought about this? You want a little bit of information?" And I was actually one of the only cold outreach times I was like, "Yeah, I would like to know. I at least want to have some awareness about what does this process look like," because it does feel like I've gotten asked for it too from some larger companies, and it feels like overkill for a while for sure, but also it feels like the kind of thing that is almost easier the sooner you do it. Once you have tons of customers and a more complex code base and lots of just organizational complexity, it seems like it would be like it gets increasingly hard to then go back and implement all of the SOC 2 stuff, and maybe like doing it earlier on. It's like if you infuse yourself with all these practices so that you can pass audit, it would be easier. So I at least want to be like up to speed on what are the kind of practices they're looking for and what can I do now to like make it so that when the time comes for me to get that certification, if the time comes, then it won't be so painful.
That's interesting. Yeah. Was this Vanta, by the way, that emailed you?
It might have been. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I think I also got emailed from them.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was pretty effective. I was like, actually, this is something I've been thinking about. And I was like, wow, a rare cold outreach email that was kind of relevant.
Yeah. So funny.
Yeah, I think that's, I could see why their business is doing well, like helping people through this process.
Yeah. It's a big, scary thing, but a lot of people, get asked for it. So you're kind of in this tension of like, I should probably be thinking about this, but it's so many unknowns.
Yeah. They seem to, from what I've heard, they're growing like crazy. Like that business is doing quite well of helping people get audited. Yeah. So the one last thing from the retreat is we're going to start looking for a Windows developer.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like in my head, I've been thinking like maybe like at the end of this year, like we're going to do Windows stuff. And it was more like, well, maybe if we're doing Windows stuff at the end of the year, like we have to start looking now. Like I don't predict it will be easy to find a person, hire them, train them, break ground, get going. Like there's just a lot to this. So starting to look now seemed like the right idea.
Yeah. That's exciting, man. Once you go from 1 to 2, going from 2 to 3, hopefully you'll be able to reuse a lot of that and it will be even easier. That's what I'm hoping for my calendar integrations, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been pushing more and more code into like the engine, like the C++ engine that powers the thing. So with any luck, like each client is mostly UI related that triggers events and responds to events. And then those events are just sort of managed by the heavy lifting is all done by this portable shared engine.
Yeah. Obviously opening up Windows is just opening up a huge market for you. And yeah.
When I look at the Stack Overflow survey, it's like 25% of people are on Mac OS, 25% are on Linux, and then 50 are on Windows. So it's like, okay, we can double our addressable market with the Linux one, and then we can double it again with Windows. Like that's like, do you hate money and or
yeah.
And it's funny, we got a lot of requests for Linux. And so now we're like, yes, it's coming. Look, Tuple app/Linux. Put your name here. Now I'm seeing lots and lots of Windows. They're like, great, excited about Linux. Do you have Windows too, by the way? So it's and like, we have a big customer that's renewing. It's like a 6-figure customer a year. And like this year they were kind of like, we're getting more and more devs on Windows, and it's kind of a bummer they can't use Tuple. And it's like, yep. So now it's like, okay, now there's 6 figures of revenue potentially at risk because of the 50 developers that, are on Windows now. And that's just not a great place to be. But man, I'm already honestly starting to stress a bit as we're starting to get closer to a Linux alpha. It's like, ooh, it's not clear if we can do this kind of UI thing over on Linux. And so it's like, okay, so then we have to come up with another way that this feature works on Linux. And also, we're pushing forward on the Mac client. And so it's like, okay, well, if we add this feature to the Mac client, now we have to add it to the Linux client and the Windows client. And so if we don't start the Windows client for 6 months, like, holy crap. So
you can see why even big companies with deep pockets like opt for Electron apps when possible, because it's like,
I get it. Yep. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, that's, I guess, incentive to keep the product really simple and narrow in scope, right? I mean, because the more focused you keep it, the less you have to replicate, at least in terms of, UI
also
stuff.
the pushing the stuff into the engine. It's like if we decided that like a thin web view kind of wrapper was right for the UI for Windows and Linux or something, that becomes an easy change versus like everything is mired together in this giant ball. So like maybe the part, like I don't think that we would go to Electron, but like maybe the parts that we need for the UI can be some sort of so we already are kind of doing this, which is like we're writing the Linux UI in GTK, which just can translate into native Windows components already.
Oh, nice.
So like it looks like we might already get UI reuse across two of the platforms.
Can that go into Mac too, or is it not just GTK?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it's going to make life a lot more complicated. Like it opens up a lot of business possibilities. I think it's the right thing to do. It also, I think, requires probably definitely a bigger team, more sophisticated processes. It's going to be, we're moving from like easy mode to hard mode, it feels like. So we'll hopefully we feel like it was the right choice.
Yeah. I mean, so when you guys you're on your retreat and you're talking through like, this decision on like, well, I think we should do Windows. I mean, is there talk amongst you guys of like, is this what we want? Do we want to build? Are we that ambitious with this company? Do we want to scale? Like, even though we could double our addressable market, do we want that? Like, do those discussions happen?
It does, and the answer so far has been yes. But I kind of actually, I think it's a good question to ask more directly and really like meditate on, kind of, which is like, yeah, there's more money over there. Totally. If you want to grow at the maximum speed, if you want to, compete most effectively with what's on the market, if you want to satisfy the most customers, yes, build a Windows client. But like, are you sure that once you do that, the company that you have is like the one you actually want? And like, this is like, for a while, we said no to Linux, or no to anything really that wasn't Mac, because we were just like, no, we're just chilling. We got this nice, calm, comfortable thing over here. It's great. We made the decision that no, we want to be more ambitious. We want to go after these things. It doesn't mean we're right. We might not like the outcome. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an interesting thing a lot of founders have to battle with. That's like, businesses can't stay stagnant. I mean, it's hard to stay in your calm little corner and still be the relevant, have the position that you have in the market. You can't just like freeze yourself there. So you have to make forward progress. But then it's like, well, do we seize the opportunity in front of us? And then in the worst case, if we end up like really getting burned out with the company or not enjoying it, like there will probably be exit opportunities to potentially have a meaningful outcome and move on to something else. So is it worth just like, driving forward, seizing the opportunities that you can, and then figure there are outs that will potentially be rewarding if need be,
Yeah, that's true. And I also kind of feel like, I think in general, I would rather commit sins of overambition. I think I'd rather look back and be like, we should have kept it smaller and simpler. And, if I'd known myself better or been better at predicting the future, I might have known that. Then like, no, we're just going to stay in this little corner over here and then kind of lose relevancy over time. Like for a collaboration app, not to be on all platforms feels like you've sort of opted out of the pretty much table stakes baseline. It's a very limiting move. At the same time, we're building a pretty decent business on Mac only. So it's like, there actually are a lot of Mac developers if you don't need to, make VC returns, and you just want to have a small profitable thing over here. So it's going to be interesting to look back on these things and see how we feel in retrospect. You're making me realize that we should have that conversation like very explicitly and just like make sure everyone's like fully on board and going into this with eyes open of like, we are signing up for a much more complicated world. Are we totally cool with this? Is this what we want?
Yeah, I don't think you'll regret having that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Right, but not having it seems bad. Mm-hmm. And we've implicitly had it by saying like, do we want to do this thing, but not like, I feel like we should really lay out like, okay, let's talk about all the pros and the cons all at once.
Yeah,
have this conversation be super explicit.
What assumptions are we making, assuming that like, that growth is better and we don't hate money, so like, but then digging one layer below that, and it's like, yeah, but what are the implications of this decision beyond just like these base assumptions we're making?
I'm going to make sure we do that. Just let's have our eyes open. It's okay to be wrong, but don't make it don't make an unexamined decision.
Exactly. Yep. That's good.
Cool. Well, thanks for your input on that and all the other stuff.
Yeah, you bet. This was a fun one.
Yeah. Notes of the show.
Notes for the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.